Welcome to Magical Monday. Welcome to Zealman's Visiting World. Right, it's Monday, and I've actually recorded on the Monday, which is a bit of a miracle. So this is good. So, things we're going to cover today, the news. We're going to go into the 1920s event and some interesting parallel we saw, one of the bugs. We're going to go through a few things that are still continuing and problems and bugs and stuff. Then for the event review, we're going to go through the Back to Hogwarts event and the Adversaries event. And then we're going to move on to this week, it was Unite, which is going to be basically talking about Prison of the Vow Part 2. As usual, there's a tracker on the bottom there if you want to skip anything. So we are now going to move on to the news. So, remember the 1920s event, the first one we had? Well, the only one we've had so far. Now, remember that it seemed to start a few hours late, and it finished a few hours early in all the time zones. Well, this happens to coincide with the times that the event runs in September. It's actually going to run from 11 AM on 15th to 11 PM on the 16th. So yes, I wonder if those time problems we had were related to this. Maybe some code did a little too early. Moving on to some of the bugs we still have. We still have our Adventure Sync issues on Android, which was probably the main bug at the moment. There's no news there as to a fix or not. It's all gone dead. The other main one is the Stimulos causing you to crash out the fortresses. So basically you put a Stimulo potion on and you tap the screen and it just crashes all out. Now the only way to get around this at the moment is to let the animation of the bubbles play out and then X out after that. An interesting third one is the frame rate drop on Android. So if you've got like a nice phone that does 60 or 120 Hertz, you get nice smooth animations until you place an image in the registry and get the animation. And then all of a sudden it drops back to like 25, 30 frames per second. Now originally, toggling battery saver on and off used to fix this, but now toggling battery saver on and off doesn't fix this and also randomly turns on AR again. So I hear the way to get around it is to instead of pressing the X to come out after you've placed the image, to press the back button, apparently, rather than that. I haven't tested it myself, so I can't tell you whether or not that works, but try it. So, it's event review time. Right, so, this is the bit of the week where we review the events that happened. I really should rewrite these intros. So, we had the Back to Hogwarts event. So, as usual, there were bugs. As with every event, there are bugs. Because no one at Niantic can actually check anything. Apparently, Niantic WB. So, port keys were not special. So, what actually happened was all our 2-kilometer portmanteaus were all event ones. Which is interesting. It's actually quite cool because, in one way, is that if you actually had a load collected up, that you could, just open it and it would actually have the event reward already there, so you could complete it instantly. The only problem was if you didn't have that, then you had to actually collect a load for the event to grind it. The problem was you had no idea what portmanteaus you were picking up, and sometimes you're getting 5Ks and 2.5Ks and stuff like that. So that was the problem with that one. Another issue was set of tasks number 3. The cast 20 Great Expecto Patronum spells seem to be 2 masterful spell casts, which pretty much wound everybody up who has problems doing those spell casts. I'm not quite sure what happened there. It's like WB Niantic never explain themselves. They just YOLO it, didn't they? We're even now at the point where Lola doesn't even respond to my messages anymore. So clearly something's going on over there. As for the tasks on that one, set 1, I had a bit of a problem with the Hedwig. It seemed a bit of a hold up. During that period of time, towards the end of the event, I was getting Hedwigs all over the place when I wanted something else entirely. There was an issue which was actually player related. That was where, I was doing Forest 1 to grind the Forest task. And I can fathom out why people were stealing my foes for my class. And I thought it's just mistakes. But then I realised that they were formidable foes. So people going into Forest 1 and stealing the formidable foes from other players because they were doing the formidable task, which is a bit of a dick move, I must admit. The other hold-up I had was the 2 dark chambers, purely because I couldn't find anyone on the night bus. It was pretty empty, and James and Sue's live stream now, Expecto Go, is getting a little bit late in the evening for me. I really don't have the time to stay up that late. Or I just don't have the energy to stay up that late with a 2-year-old. That's a good point. I found collecting the chocolate frogs, etc. that they were dropping was actually quite fun. I think generally with the Back to the Hogwarts event, the only other problem was that there were a lot of things that were boosted. And I think when everything is boosted, they kind of dilute themselves. through having a few problems getting them. I think it took me a long time to get the students to complete the event at the end, but I just about made it. Now moving on to the Adversary Event. Yeah, many people didn't complete this one. I didn't even actually bother, to be fair. Looking at the rewards, wasn't too fussed about it, and it's a heck of a lot of work. I basically just did the 3 Dada book tasks on the beginning, because I just found out having to do 9 like chambers in a fortress encounter, because for me it's hard to find people to play with, and they're all like forest, and I mean I could go in the forest ones easy enough, but I have to grind the dark ones as well, and there 4 of those. And I was like, ugh. Last time I had to grind 4 dark chambers, it took like 2 days of waiting in the evenings, and then having teams fail and pull out. And I think that task just doesn't work if you can't create your own team. Because if you can create your own team, you just say, right lads, we're going to meet up, this is the code, and we'll go together, and you'll be able to do it nice and easy. I know you can like hop on and off the bus, but that could take up to half an hour on its own, you know. The interesting one, well, I was looking at this before the event came out, and I thought this might be a bit of a tricky one. So there's the gold collection task there, and I was looking at my registry and I was thinking, you know, I've only got 6 of those gold piles of gold that the dragon drops. I was like, it's like the lowest spawning reward, you know. My whole page is actually waiting on that gold fragment. I was thinking, man, I don't think it's going to drop very often, is it? Lo and behold, it did not drop very often. And yeah, I saw a lot of complaints of people saying they run like so many dark marks, like 5, 6, 7 dark marks, and it still weren't getting hardly any of these drops. So yeah, that was a bit of a fail. I think a lot of people were stuck on that. Even those that really went for it were kind of stuck on that one at the end, unless they got really lucky. The problem is you got RNG on RNG. So you got RNG of what foes you get, well, what adversaries you get. Then you have RNG on top of that on whether they actually drop the gold. So it's kind of like your odds are ever diminishing, and it's just a little too much. Of course, if Niantic WB had actually playtested it, maybe they would have found it out themselves. Anyway, I'm offering to do playtesting if they wish. I don't know if they even watch YouTube anymore. I'm not sure they're even present. I think it's just like a 1 day a week job for them, Wizards Unite nowadays. 1 developer, 1 day a week. This week, Wizards Unite. It feels like a bit of a downer already, this video, but yeah. We have Prisoner of Hell Part 2. Pretty much the same thing as usual. You use Master Notes 4 times to kind of move to set up task number 3. I think it was on set task number 2. That's pretty much it. There's been a few tweaks in the rewards and stuff like that. Nothing to write home about too much. Now, what's been happening lately with Part 2 events is when you do the place 5 images in your registry thing, that the first page normally counts. Except they've reworded it slightly in this version, and we're not 100% sure it does. Now, this was super useful because in the Part 1 event, if you'd walked off all the port keys and placed the image before completing the bonus, which in theory you should have done, and then completed the bonus round, you would then get 5 images on top. So it'd actually be ready to be placed a second time. It actually should be shimmering if you finish the event. And then when you do Part 2, of course, you only have 4 ready to place because you need to complete that set to get the last fragment. But in order to complete the 5, you would need that fragment. So you could always place that one from the first page, and then it's easy. You didn't have to regrind anything like the fortresses. But anyway, give it a shot. If yours is shimmering from the first round, give it a go anyway. When you get set a task number 4, you never know. It may work, even though they've just changed the wording of it. There's also a great chunk of storyline. This one is quite a good one. I don't want to give anything away. If you want to have it given away, check out the video up there, which is the storyline, where I go and review the storyline, and then tell everyone how stupid Gareth is. And then there's also Taskforce Times.news, which has the storyline in text. Then you can just press the show me the spoilers thing if you're looking at it before the event starts. I mean, it's pretty imminently going to start, or have started by the time I do this video, because I'm recording this quite late and I have to freshly edit. But this isn't a long edit, so hopefully this will be out pretty soon. Let me know how the Adversary event went for you, how much of a struggle you thought it was. I have not been having my usual dog walks, so I cannot. Well, I didn't bother with it anyway. But I wouldn't be able to gauge what it was like for me. I didn't kind of find it worth it, the effort, so we didn't really bother. I actually spent the time brewing potions ready for the Brilliant event, because I like to have a whole bunch of basic extimulos to just go around and fire away at the Brilliants, but I'm having to cast multiple times, waste my time. So yeah, I was kind of brewing. Also, if I do every other one of them, I'll actually have 2 edible dark marks on the free gift packs. If I just do every other adversary event. I'm more into the 1920s event, really. Basically, do any task that gives me a silver key as a reward, then I had to save them for the 1920s event. So, let me know in the comments below how the adversary event went for you and the Back to Hogwarts event went for you. I kind of like the nostalgic effect of Back to Hogwarts, especially as I work at college and we're starting back, today. Although I'm at work at home, so it doesn't feel like we started back today. So, don't be a stranger. Until next time, brush up on your spells, get your ones ready, wizards unite.